everybody. Where's the drummer at? Okay.
Do you hear music? I don't know.
Oh, you don't hear music?
No.
Oh,
Or maybe my sound is off.
Gary always hears it.
Oh, I hear it. I
could be.
hear it.
I think my
I hear
machine's all mucked up.
I got it.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a podcast with site owner Robert Bob Takayaki.
Hello, all.
I can't pronounce his last name, so I just call him Takayaki.
Takiyaki's fine. Talk. Hello, everyone.
As we are
Welcome back, Lee.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe
Been a while.
bringing it back. We'll see.
Yeah.
But sorry if my motion is herky-jerky. I think I'm having internet issues or something. So today we are here with Bob. A lot to talk about. Hopefully we will cover some stuff that everyone or some people at least want to know about. We will welcome comments through YouTube. And if anyone wants to pop in and say hello, let us know. And we will have to ship you the entry code. It's easy to get in. You just click on the link. You have to enter a name, come in, and we'll put you on camera. If you don't want to show your video, you don't want to show your face, which can't be any worse than mine, then you can come in and just have voice on. We do have a limit, I believe, of about 6 or 8 people that can be on at once, but we've yet to hit that. Hello, Papa John. Right away, we got a comment from Papa John saying hello. So, Papa John, and would that be Argo?
Yeah, it's Argo.
Argo, okay.
I think it's 10. I think 10 is the
10's the max. Okay, well, we haven't got that yet, so if we get 10, it may get a little bit noisy, but we'll try it. We'll definitely try it. The more the merrier, right? As long as everybody's patient and takes.
Well, I mean, you can mute whoever you want to mute.
Yeah, except you.
I think I can be muted.
Yeah, but you can unmute it.
That is true.
Okay, folks, we're gonna kick it off with the number one topic trending yesterday, and this would take. There have been a lot of comments on it, so we already do have a lot of comments. But
we do.
We're gonna on this first topic. It was discussed for about an hour yesterday on Discord. I mean, there were a lot of comments already, so it's not a new thing. We're talking about, and let's make it clear we're talking about it, breeding a horse that is 3 years old, not breeding with 3-year-olds instead of 4-year-olds. And Bob has moved to another room in his house where he goes to play the piano. So we're talking about the possibility in April of breeding a horse that is born 3 years of age, the pluses and minuses, and if Bob has come to a final decision on that. So drum roll.
Okay. I really haven't come to a final decision, and I know that's not okay because basically that's 2 days away. But, you know, I have a hard time with disrupting things or pissing people off. It's not my agenda. It's not really what I want to do. You know, the members, I don't like upsetting members for decisions that I make. So you have to really think these things through. And the reason why I have made a decision is because it's so tough. I mean, on one hand, I believe that we need to do it. We need to be able to breed a 3-year-old foal right now in the last month of the season to really help get our 4-year-old race card, a full 4-year-old race card up and running. I think it's healthy for the game. However, I think it does impact a few stables in a negative way. You know, and I think that, just from, if you have horses that are kind of run through 3-year-old or in 4-year-old and they've kind of established themselves and you have 3-year-olds turning 4 and you're hoping that they're going to run at a certain level. And then we open the floodgates and allow a bunch of other new horses to come in that are going to disrupt that 4-year-old level. That may irritate some
Can I
people.
input on that? Just one
Yeah.
quick thing. So, as a owner of several in that category, so I'm biased a little bit. What I've always appreciated about the site, but I'm of the mind, so I'm going to be against my own what I would like. What's good for the site is good for me. Okay, so I will always support what's good for the site, whether or not I like it. So what I really enjoy about the site is, I think you've made the comment before, is 2-year-olds is a wide open world. New ones born every day. But when you get to 3 and when you get to 4, you got what you got, you know? So new 3-year-olds aren't born every day. And then at the end of a season, 3-year-olds are going to be the only ones that are 4-year-olds. That being said, I do understand that the site needs more 4-year-old racing. So I get both sides of the equation, and frankly, I will support either one. They'll change the strategy a little bit, on especially freezer type horses or horses that you think are getting tired. You may have to reevaluate where they race as a 4-year-old. I don't know, because we've never had a 3-year-old born a 3-year-old age to a 4-year-old, so you're not sure if it's going to be advantageous for that or not. But okay, I'll shut up now. That was just my whole piece on it.
Okay, so sum that up again.
The main thing is that when horses turn 3, if there's 800 horses that turn 3, I'm just using numbers, that's all there's ever going to be. And then only those horses can turn 4. So you have an advantage in 3 and 4-year-old racing, knowing new superstars aren't born every day that you have to race against. Now, if you allow 3-year-old racing, 3-year-old racing becomes just like 2-year-old racing, really, if you think about it. And that, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that, but you still do have the limited pool of 4-year-olds, because they have to be 3. I don't think we'd ever breed 4-year-olds, but so you still have the limited pool of 4-year-olds. It's just been, moved over. So now you have kind of unlimited 2-year-old, unlimited 3-year-old, unlimited 4-year-old. Hey, Dan, you can come in if you want.
So you're saying that you agree with the camp, decide that basically it should be even though it would be good for the site in this one-time moment. It's better to stay the course.
I'll just tell you. Okay, so I have 105 3-year-olds that are lightly raced, and some are more raced. Okay,
right.
I was looking forward to their 4-year-old season, because a lot of people race the shit out of their horses, and they might have a bunch of tired horses, where mine are on their upswing. So it's my fault for not racing them as 3-year-old, but this was a strategy because of the smaller fields for 4-year-olds. So I have better luck if I have new, fresh horses. So now someone doesn't have to do that anymore. They just wait till the last day of the season and buy 200 3-year-olds, and they have a bunch of 4-year-old fresh ones. Hey, you know what? If that's the way it is, if that's what we need to do, that's fine. I would just need to change my strategy up a little bit and realize, okay, that happens now, so deal with it,
Yeah, and I think that, and that goes to my original point, which is there are people that think the same way as you, that will be a little bit upset if that changes me. And that's what I'm saying about, upsetting members. Now, you may not be upset. You may say, okay, I'll deal with it and I'll adapt. But there's going to be some members that aren't going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to take it a little bit more, to heart, as far as what they've built and spent time building over the last 6 months, that we're changing that. You know what I mean?
I get that.
So, it goes both ways. So I think, I don't want to rush and make drastic changes. That's not really, my style. I've kind of learned a few lessons in the past about knee-jerk kind of decisions, even though I know I've been on top of this data for a while that supports such a move. And also, there's a lot of new stables that would love to be in the 4-year-old race game. And it would be an opportunity to buy horses and race them and so on.
Well,
So
that's the thing. See, I want to get away from Dash because he probably doesn't have many 3-year-olds turning 4, so figure I can avoid him for a year.
yeah. I mean, I think that my right now I'm still leaning on the side of not making any changes as far as the year goes, because I probably would have gave a little bit more notice. It's only because I can't. There, it goes both ways, and there's no one real clear cut direction. But I obviously put the members first over the game, and over the one season health of the game. And that's really what we're talking about, right? So it's like, I'm going to put the members' interest above a one season's gain for the site. And in that case, that means that, you probably, continue with what you're doing as far as you'll breed yearlings and you can breed 2-year-olds as of April 1st.
Yeah.
And I think that the first issue to be addressed really would be the structure of the 4-year-old race card. And races and types of races. And there were some great ideas yesterday by a few guys. I know you've had some ideas in the past. I know Chrisman had some good ideas. Actually, a bunch of guys had some really good ideas. So I think, what we'll probably do is stay the course, maybe change up the race card a little bit to get more of the 4-year-olds running, maybe a little bit more early season incentives to keep them running instead of retiring.
I hear you. Yeah, that was another issue is you now open the floodgates for someone to buy 200 horses on April 30th, put them in a race, run them, and now they have 200 breeders.
Yeah, that's the other side of it too. I mean, I thought of that, and I didn't really want that either. And honestly, that wouldn't have been a big deal if we wouldn't have just rolled back the previous retirement requirements. Where you had to race 10 times in order to retire a horse.
Yeah.
And that's been rolled back. So now that's been rolled back. If you open this up, then yeah, the floodgates are going to be open as far as breeders. So now Papa John, Argo Farms asked a good question. He says, if the older stables haven't raced 4-year-olds before, hey Foggy, welcome. Why would they change now? That's a good question. It's not that they don't race them. They do race the 4-year-olds. It's just not, there's just not as many of them in the races, or many of the races are running. So they are running. The older stables are racing these stables. But then again, you only need to be a member here for 6 months if you wanted to go from the beginning of the process to now for 4-year-olds. So it's not necessarily older stables per se. It's just that so many of them are retired. And people can make up their own arguments or own decisions on why these horses are retired. Some will say, well, they had great conformation. They didn't really look that good on the track, so we retired them. Well, they only had one race, so how would you know? The other people will say, well, I've, Winning 420 said yesterday, I raced it 10 times. It seems like it's regressing. That's not necessarily always the case either. So there's a lot of different reasons. And I can make an argument using data to go against every single one of these reasons. The biggest issue is that people love to breed. They're excited about the if they have a horse that's been good at 2 years old and 3 years old, they're excited about that new crop that sire America produced. They're going to retire the horse. I get it. That's a natural part of the game. So I think that's the number one thing that impacts those numbers as far as horses being raced.
I think so, as well as think about it. My horse is a 4-year-old. If he's not a Breeders' Cup horse, and I know it's something you're considering the schedule, but if he's not a Breeders' Cup horse, so there's not the big purses for him to win, you just as soon start reeling out some 2-year-olds that could win a lot of money, right? Instead of having him just sit around for his 4-year-old career, maybe making $50 or $100, right? If that. Right. I mean, I have some that have earned quite well because of, they were fresh and they're winning these A races and even some stakes. But yeah, there's positives and negatives. I think you just have to figure out, maybe you could limit someone, maybe you can limit. I hate to do that because a site that lives on revenue until it has to limit its revenue, but maybe someone can't breed 500 3-year-olds.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think
And
anybody would except Dash, but
I may have a suggestion towards that end when you have a second.
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
All right. So
Okay, well, now let's move on. No, just kidding.
so over in the chat, I know I mentioned limits. So as you guys were talking, I was thinking, what if? So first of all, let's be clear about something. If somebody buys 100 4-year-olds, only 10% of them are going to be decent breeders. I mean, just going according to the numbers.
3-year-olds, you mean?
3 that are going to turn 4. Yes, the new 4s.
True.
So, and then on the other side of the coin, only 10 out of those 100 are probably going to be substantial racers, whatever the number is. If it's 20%, 12%, whatever. It's not 100% of the problem. It seems to be. It's only whatever is going to be the affecting numbers. Now, my thought is, what if you limited 10 active for whatever, or let's say 20 active, so you would have 10 on the breeding side, 10 on the racing side. So you can buy 200 3-year-olds that are going to turn 4-year-olds. So that makes the revenue whole, but you can only keep 10 of each active. So you can pick your best 10 and they can be your active breeders for that season. That's it.
I see what you're doing. I literally hate limits and shit like that. So, and plus that's probably some kind of record keeping book programming nightmare for Bob now.
Could be, yeah.
So you may, and he may end up being behind, but I get the idea. I'm all for any ideas, but in the end, if breeding 3-year-olds is what we need to get a 4, he left.
I'm here. I'm good. I'm good.
I
Okay.
offended him already.
If breeding 3-year-olds is what we need to get a 4-year-old season, where I mean, we all benefit from it. Let's not forget. I have
That's true,
races
yeah.
that don't fill for my 4-year-olds, A, B, C's, and D's, and all that, because of the limited 4-year. So I would welcome more 4-year-olds one way or another. I prefer that people keep them longer and race them, but obviously there's an issue if you want to race it in 2, 3. A lot of times, it's a longevity thing. I don't. Some horses last 5 races, and Eddie's horses race 50. So, I can see you give me a negative, and I can make a positive out of it. You give me a positive, and I can make a negative out of it. In the end, we have to trust what Bob is doing to grow the site and keep the site going. And if this is a one-time thing, experiment, but not permanent, I get that. Or if you want to push it and say, okay, next season, get ready for it. You know what? We just have to go with what Bob says. And hey, you know what? Nothing's permanent, right? If it doesn't work out, it don't work out.
That's true. But, I also don't want to lose, members over this type of decision either,
I think if you just send all existing members, 5 blue tickets, that'll probably
yeah, blue tickets.
Once you put rhythm in there.
I mean, so you don't think that any race incentives or race schedule changes or anything like that would help the quick retirement aspect? I mean, because Tony asked a question here. He said, what is the percent of 4-year-olds retired and sent to the breeding early? It's a significant number. It's
yes. I would say I would guess 50% of all stakes winning, breeding capable, I want to breed now type horses. Now you have to throw geldings out of that because obviously they can't. So now if you throw geldings out of the mix and only count males and females with their privates, that becomes even a larger percentage, right? Because you've always quoted overall X percentage of 4-year-olds, but I would venture to say, without counting, that easily a majority of 4-year-olds are geldings
that are still racing.
Yes.
Oh, I could check that right now. So let's say if the age
Oh,
is
you're gonna
4.
make me look like a dumbass right here on.
No,
No,
you're,
no.
that's a lock. That's a mortal lock. There's only geldings and bad females.
That I'm a
So right
dumbass.
now-
Or-
No, no, it's a lock that you've got it right for a change.
All right, so just remember this number. So right now they're whoa, what the hell happened?
All right, I got my pen and paper, writing it down.
All right, so first we'll look at all. Let's just look at 4-year-olds, not 4-year-old and up. Just look at
Active 4-year-olds.
right? So active 4-year-olds right now, remaining is 1,443,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
If for active 4-year-olds that are gelded, $268 of that are geldings.
So
Really?
only 20%. Wow.
Wait a minute. When we say active, that means not retired.
Not retired, in stable.
Yeah.
That surprises me.
Yeah, me too.
Why? We thought it would be higher or lower?
Yeah, I
Oh,
figured
way
that-
higher.
I figured geldings were a majority of 4-year-olds because of the. That just shows me maybe people aren't pushing them to the shed as quick as we thought.
Oh, the 4-year-olds? I mean,
I mean,
Well,
you're
let's
talking.
look at-
We still have almost 1,200. What do they call them at that age?
Horses,
Horses and
your sires.
or whatever. I'm just gonna keep using fillies and colts.
all right. So what was the first number I gave you?
1443.
So out of the 1443, 747 of them are males,
Colts.
Okay.
colts. And out of that 747, 268 or whatever are geldings.
Oh, Colts
Yeah.
and gelding. All right, so it's about 50-50 split. Now, as Gary, who I think is Madsen, no, I can't remember his stable name. That's now. Can you look up how many 4-year-old breeders?
Yeah, how many 4-year-old breeders? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll
Because
go
they would have been
4-year-old,
4 at the
Right.
first day of the season.
and it would be retired, stable.
Because some of them could be retired for good.
Oh
And we're
man,
looking for-
Judge
are
just
we
hit his
talking
first
mares?
home run.
But
Sorry,
no one cares.
sorry.
No one cares about the Yankees.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
congratulations.
the whole world does except Philadelphia.
okay, so
Retired, stable.
So what we're missing
Uh,
out is 4-year-old current breeders plus any 4-year-old that's been killed. So basically, the question is, on
No, I have it.
day
I have that.
one
Hold
of
on.
the 4-year-old season, how many 4-year-olds were there?
Right. Well, first we'll look at we're gonna look at how many are retired breeders. We're looking for sires
Yeah.
or mares.
Both.
Okay, total.
Yeah, total. Come on.
All right. So total retired horses that are 4 years old that are in the stable. 532.
Really?
So 532 horses are breeders.
Retired. Right.
Some other set of number is gone. Like
I'm gonna.
Out in the
We'll get into that, but
okay,
yeah.
but
532.
those could have been either breeders or racers because he could have retired it for breeding and then said screw it. But that's still telling me that 75% of the horses are kept for racing.
No, hold on.
No, okay.
No, I'm saying you're looking at 1,200 horses. What's the first number? 1,200.
1,343 active 4-year-olds,
active.
non-breeders.
Right. You had 500, and how many were retired
532. But I
or
thought
in
that
the
was
shed? So they were retired for breeding. So that's on top of that 1,200 or whatever.
yeah,
right?
so 2,000 total 4-year-olds.
Right.
And
Now-
75% of them are still running.
Right.
Well,
and
75 are not retired, I
Right.
should say.
1,939 of them were retired
Holy crap.
permanently from the game.
So we had around 4,000 turn 4, if you do the math here. 4,000 turn 4, 2,000 have been retired, 500 are breeders, and 1,500 are still active racers. Correct.
Those numbers don't seem terribly out of whack. I don't think.
Well,
Yeah, I'm a little.
At
you got
first
20. You
rendering.
got
50%
you-
retirement
you-
is
No,
Yeah.
you have 25% roughly of the original pool that is left racing.
How many older horses are there total? Like 5 and up that comprise the rest of the breeding stock.
5 and up. That's
5 years old and up. Yeah.
oh, that's got to be thousands.
You think?
that's going to be
Yeah,
ridiculous.
because a lot of
amount.
people just let them go and go and go and go and never use them, never get rid of them.
Like you got people,
Yeah.
people like Pancho, who doesn't take the time to clean out his stable,
Yeah, probably
uh,
Eddie too. I would think.
and he has 700. He has 700 sires in there, and maybe 500 of them he'll never ever use, or probably or even past the slight age of being used.
Hmm.
I mean, there is a cutoff. I don't know if it's like 15
Yeah.
years old or 20 years old or whatever that is.
It
but-
keeps them
so
for
you-
sentimental value.
Yeah, I mean that number would be astronomical. Now I could limit the search to, let's say, between 5 and 7 years old, and he might get a different.
How
you know-
about 5 and 7 year old just breeders?
right? Okay, so between 5 and 7.
But that's not really to the issue of racing 4-year-olds, though.
Of racing 4 year olds, it is. That's part of the pool they're going to race against when he does the other side. How many racers are left?
So
But
You
I
wanna-
didn't think
you
the
wanna-
issue. I didn't think the issue was 5-year-old racing. It's 4-year-old racing.
It's 4 and up. They're all the same.
I mean, I wish there was more 5-year-olds racing. I mean, the horse with the most wins on the site is 5 years old. So you're saying you wanted to know how many horses are retired for breeding between 5 and 7?
Yeah, I just wondered what the rest of the pool looks like. If the 4-year olds
It's
comprise,
1,600.
all right, so there's 1,300 4-year olds and 1,600 5 and up. Is
But they're
that
breeders.
close?
5 and up are
But
breeders.
that's
But they're
just
breeders.
breeders, right? Just breeders, correct. Okay. No, I just wanted to see what the breeding pool looks like. So, and it looks like it's
Yeah.
about 50% 4-year olds.
Right. So the issue is, how do we get? So a day one, according to my math here, and I'm just going to round up. Day one, there's almost 4,000 horses.
Hmm.
That's what I mean, Gary, when I say, when you
Just
say 3-year-old
4,000
numbers.
4-year-olds.
So there was, if you had 1939 plus 1443 plus 532. 314, put a 1 up there, 5 and 3, 8.
Now, here's the
Put a
thing.
1 up there,
I don't
5.
think you
On
can
the-
add
on
that
the-
5 back in. I think that's
On the
part of the other.
4-year-olds. On the
No, he
4-year-old,
said the 1939 are not in the game anymore.
Oh, I
right?
see.
The 19. That's what I was going to good touch on. That you have to be careful with this though. The 1939 doesn't mean they were retired during these 3 months. The 1939 means that they were retired from the game between the years of 2 years old and 4 years old, but they are
Oh.
4 years old right now. They would be. They're
Oh,
retired from the game. They're
okay.
4-year-old right now, but they could have been retired 4 months ago, 2 months ago.
Oh,
1 month ago.
okay. All right. So no wonder why that number's so big.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the active 3-year-old count is 2,273.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay. So let's say last year's active 3-year-olds were
They're about the same.
about,
It's about
the same.
20.
Okay. So now of that, 1,443. So what you're
Well,
saying
no.
is,
It's actually, you can just keep it simple. The numbers are about the same. So 2273 3-year-olds, and you have 1,200 active. How many active 4-year-olds we have racing right now? What did I say?
1,443.
There's 1,443 active.
Yeah.
So we basically lost 800 horses, which is what I told someone yesterday. 800 is the number I used yesterday.
Yeah.
That's about
Okay.
right. So we lose about 800 horses from the racing pool
Yeah.
going to 4-year-old.
So a third of the field.
Naturally.
Close.
Naturally.
A little more than third.
Now, on
And-
top of that, there may be race card issues. That's kind of what I was talking about before. I mean, if you're like, you brought an excellent point up 2 weeks ago in the chat. I think it was 2 weeks ago. You said, well, look at the A division. The A division is open racing. And in open racing, you're going to find stakes horses. Now, if you have a horse that's not a stakes runner and you raced conditionally from 2 years old to 4 years old, and you've raced a proper card, you've done non-winners of 2, non-winners of 4, all that stuff. Well, eventually Your horse has won 6 races naturally through the race card. It's
Mhm.
not a stakes grade horse. Now it's 4 years old. The only race that it's eligible for is a claimer or an open A division. But as soon as you go into open A, you're going to run into stakes grade horses, which you never ran against before because you weren't good enough. So there's
Exactly.
nowhere for that horse to run. So you either retire the horse or
And that's
run
what
in
I
a
did. That's exactly what
bullshit
I
claim.
did. Because why keep running him when he's getting beat all the time against? I mean, good stakes horses can still run. If you look at some of the best stakes horses, yeah, I bet Dan's even thrown his into an A. Trilly Itham.
I actually don't have that horse. I don't have it sorted so that it'll
Yeah.
run in A's, but I would,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, if
And I
there's
saw
nothing available.
Coconut in an A the other day.
Oh, I mean,
Yep,
So yeah, you run them and you
I-
try to get more money out of them. So
right. That A division race I saw the other day, the purse was 100,000 credits for an A
Yep.
division. You know,
Yeah.
so
yeah,
you know, it's a good race. You know, so yeah, I think the card may have something to do with it. You know, John may be right here too. He said people are just not as bothered to run 4-year-old claimers. Now, I struggle with this with the race card because I don't know what the proper claiming rate should be. What are the proper claiming races for 4-year-olds? Is 5K, 10K, 15K, 25K? And that's what I struggle with. Like, what's a card? What's a build?
well,
Well, I think that's where most of them are going to end up. The ones that continue racing.
Yeah, but
See,
where though? That's
well,
a range. I mean, 5K to 30K.
It's going to be your lowest. I predict that it would be the lowest average claiming, level of all three of the 2, 3s, and 4s. It's just going to be low because they're just. Here's the thing. I don't know if you guys brushed on it early. Lee and I were talking about the other day. There are 2 or 3 real solid enemies of the 4-year-old racing platform, and one of them is the biggest one is the programmed obsolescence of these horses. The horses, there's so many horses. I wish I had this number. So many 2-year-olds that are born that never make it to 4, even good ones that don't make it to 4 because they just run out of gas. All right. So obviously there's just not that many that are going to move through all the way to 4 years old. And then once they do the fresh 4-year-olds that we're going to allow people to breed, do they hold a big edge over the ones that are limping in from 3 years old? That's the other thing. And then I can't remember what the third one was. Oh, breeding, of course, attacks your 4-year-old racing platform. So you've got 3 real solid detractions from the thing being at 100%, the 4-year-old. So, and I think that's where you have to make some of these moves. That's why, even though I'm not a big fan of it, that breeding 3-year-olds that are going to turn 4 fresh, I guess I would be okay with it. But that's, like I say, I'm always screaming deregulation, Lee. This is maybe one time where I think a limit makes sense. You can only have so many active of all the ones you buy. That'll still improve the racing, and it helps to head off some of that other stuff. Those 3 things that I was talking about.
yeah.
I mean, otherwise it's almost. I mean, Lee and I, a couple of the great minds, we spent hours on this the other day, trying to find ways that you can improve it. And I just, how I am. I just threw out more crap to see if any of it made sense. And I think we got a few decent ideas out of it.
Yeah. One thing I
but
do
it's
have to interrupt though. We are 30 minutes
oh.
in, and I
Yeah.
think what hasn't been brought up yet.
I don't know. We need to have those 4-year-old races scheduled.
Forgotten Magic, the one and only
Oh.
Triple Crown winner.
Yes, you're
on
right.
the
Thank
site.
you.
I let 30 minutes go by. I'm not sure how I was able to do that, but
Yeah.
okay.
And further, if you remember, Lee, there was some wrinkle in there where it made yearlings relevant again. What was it? I think it was if the fresh ones that you breed in the last day of the season turn 4 and they breed, they can only breed yearlings. We kicked that around too.
Yeah,
And now I don't know if that makes sense or not. I think if you dissect that might make a little sense, because then it makes yearlings worthwhile. Because practically speaking, I don't understand why anybody would ever buy a yearling. It makes no sense to me from a money management
Well, I
thing
can
or
think of
whatever.
one.
Yeah.
I can think of one.
Go ahead.
I can think of one why you would breed them, because let's say you have a horse ending its career and it's 4, and
Right.
now you stop racing him like a month before the end of the season.
Okay.
Right away, you have access to 15 of his sire breeds. The very next month, you have 15 more. I can see why, as a breeder, you would breed yearlings.
Well, that's actually a pretty good point and why people would do that. But there's there's no difference between breeding a yearling and a 2-year-old as far as like if people want to play the game how they want to play it and it keeps them active. You want to have like mini games within a game, and if people like to breed yearlings because it's something to look forward to or they could test out whatever they want to test out, I can see why people want to do it. But it's to each its own, and people just want to do different things. But
absolutely, yeah, I don't have any problem
and
with
it's
that.
no, yearlings. They're the yearlings are, like I said, they're no different than as far as 2-year-olds. People say, well, yearlings don't work out. That's not true. There's plenty of yearlings that have fantastic 2-year-old seasons.
No, I'm not talking about any. I'm talking strictly from money management. Why would I invest? Why would I invest $100 on yearlings that I have to wait an indeterminate amount of time until they can, or just use my $100 and buy active horses? Why sit on the $100 for a season? I don't understand.
Now, well, number one, that's
a month. I'm sorry, a month.
Okay. Well, listen. One, I would say that wouldn't be the greatest sales pitch for the site, but that doesn't matter. That's your opinion, right? 2 would be I would say look how good the yearling auctions have been the last 2 years, the last 2 seasons. They've been solid. They've been good. That's
a good point.
Right, and it adds value to the site because it's as far as activity and interest and discussion points and promotion, whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. The third thing I'd say is that this year, I don't know who's going to run it for me, but I need somebody to run it. But we're going to run the yearling time trials, which we've never done before, which is going to be a specific day of the season before they turn 2 years old, where everybody goes to the same track, runs at the same weight, same everything, whatever, just to see it as like a fun event who has the fastest yearlings on that day. You know what I mean?
Against each other or just
no, just a public work.
Just like time trial. Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that'll be new and different to see if it picks up any interest. And again, that'll spark value and things like that, and we can start to track those things. So
what do you mean by you don't know who's going to run it for you? What does that mean?
Well, I think that stuff like that can be community managed. Like, like if there's somebody that wants to help organize it, like obviously I will, we oversee everything, but like for instance, someone might be the point person to like pick the day we're going to do it, this and that, you know what I mean? Like I'm saying there could be more community involvement.
I'll do it if no one else volunteers.
Right. I mean, it's an event. So you bring your community involved in this thing, and then it kind of helps it.
Tony. I could see Tony doing that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Tony.
He's a retired guy.
Plus, that's towards the end of the season. I got a lot going on with the site. So like it just kind of works with a little bit of assistance, but I think that'll be fun. And I don't know if you do it by distance. So like, is it just one distance or do you pick like,
I would think you would just go, because you need to get, I mean, they all train at 6. So
yeah, I know, but a stayer is never going to get the same time as a sprinter. Like a stayer could be a 5-star stayer,
or just a FYI, so everybody can.
No,
see.
it's to be fun. It's bragging rights. It's competition, and maybe those value.
I thought it was more of, so you get to see more of other people's horses.
What I'm saying is, if you have the fastest, if 2,000 horses go to the time trials that day, and your horse is the fastest horse, out of that 2,000 on that day. That's a little bit of bragging rights, a little bit of value, maybe. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But I know that a future stayer that may be the best horse in the site is not even going to be able to compete with an ideal sprinter at 6 furlongs as far as work time goes.
Okay.
So I don't know what we're after. So I don't know if it's 2 different or whatever, or it's 1. But again, those things.
So let's kill off the first topic. At the moment, no decision, right? Because
at the moment,
first is 2 days away.
At the moment, it's no decision, but really because some of the good ideas that have been given, even some of Foggy's, for us to do this properly would require programming changes. And in order for me to do that, I'd have to recode some stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
They would take that. That's going to take a little bit of time. And
Yeah.
by that time, we're already into the April season. So
Yeah.
again, it's coming, it's kind of too late. It was like wishful thinking. I can see the valid arguments from folks like Rico and Foggy and so on why we should do it. But at the same time, there's definitely negatives there that I am afraid of doing because I don't know what the end result of that is.
So say
a couple,
April 15th rolls around. Would we know by April 15th?
We would know by April 15th if we're going to allow any last couple week breeding for 3-year-olds.
Okay. But yearlings will still pop on April 1st.
Yearlings are April 1st.
Because I think in the past, they had only been the last 2 weeks, right?
The what?
I thought in the past, yearlings opened up about the 10th or 15th or something.
Well, 6 months ago, we changed that.
Okay.
So it's been April 1st. Allow people can basically, so it's all month long. So the final month of the season. I'm gonna jump in here and answer a couple questions here real quick.
Yes. I was going to say we're getting some good ones here.
We did the Gary's one. Gary, we just rolled back. Gary asked this and he said, basically we just rolled back the requirements. So, in order for you to make the changes to implement requirements again, I'm not sure I want to go down that road. Berkey asked how many 2-year-olds are active right now. There are 3,100 active 2-year-olds right now.
Okay.
Wow,
Gary's got like 700 of them.
All claiming prizes. I'm not sure what that refers to. We must have missed that.
I think he's talking about the 4-year-old platform.
You said,
Berkey said, of course, fresh.
What would be the ideal claiming 5, 10, 15? I think he basically said. Like run them all, 5.
Run them all, yeah.
25.
Okay, got you.
I think.
Berkey says, yeah, thanks, Lee. Berkey says, of course, fresh horses will dominate older horses. Now, there's actually, we confused a couple things here when we talk about this. There's a reason why we had the maiden first rule and all that kind of stuff like that, because it's fresh horses, and we don't want horses going straight from maidens to stakes. We never wanted horses going straight from maidens to graded stakes for that reason, for the freshness or whatever. You wanted them to earn their way in. That's why they needed a win. But it doesn't do anything for the horses that actually come in and maiden and win right away. Then they go right to stakes. I guess you can't knock people for doing it. Now, as far as the freshness goes, people say, the fresh horse is going to dominate. No, a fresh horse may be a little bit more fresher for that race. Well, if you're telling me 4 races in that this horse still has some huge advantage from a freshness standpoint, it doesn't. The data doesn't support that. So I get that it may be coming in as a fresher horse, and then it has its levels of wear and tear over time. And that 4-year-old or 3-year-old may have so many races under its belt. That's valid. That's a valid point. But to think that freshness, whatever that may be, it carries over for such a long period of time and it stays so high, that's just not there. So he is correct, and I can't disagree that if you bred a bunch of fresh 4-year-olds, they would have a little bit more pop than some of the 4-year-olds existing. I can't disagree with that. I just don't know how long that actually holds up.
I was going to say, but I don't think it's limited to one race, because those horses are at the beginning of their careers. And if they gradually work towards the cliff, then they're still going to retain a lot of that early life until they don't anymore. Where the other ones, you wear and tear, they're war and tore by the time they get to 4.
Right. But they also may be, you're right, but they also may be flat on a level. And these new horses, while they may be fresh, they may be fresh, they have different. They all have different unique.
You're still going to run against a mix
wear and tear, so their levels would all be different. So eventually,
that's true.
Works out.
Eventually, yeah. And I just want to apologize. I would never say anything that I thought was going to hurt the site. The yearling thing. If somebody's got $100 in his mitt and he wants to spend them on yearlings, but there's no yearlings available, he's going to spend it on 2-year-olds. I don't see, but I understand. I didn't mean to say anything like that.
No, Foggy, I don't take it away. You're not hurting the site. It's just that it's from my point of view. We come at it from different angles.
Hey, so Berkey, do you want to come in here?
My angle that's obviously, part of the site revenue is breeding and stuff, and I encourage all of the breeding. But if you're going from a logical standpoint, you can't. You've made a good argument. There's nothing really to say against that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a valid point. But this is open mic.
All right. Okay, let's kill this off. All right.
We're killing it? All right.
Kill the first topic off. We're done with the 4-year-old. Okay, so you'll let us know by April 15th if we can breed a 3-year-old colt or filly.
Right.
Okay. Oh, I was going to go around in circles. But so I want to talk about the sales ring. Okay. The sales ring used to have 20 and 20. Then it had, I don't know, 80 and 100, or maybe that's what it has now. And I know you've been experimenting. Oh, Foggy's got some new pants. What we got?
Yeah.
Okay. And where's your dog? Your dog needs to come on the screen.
Yeah.
And Bob, where's the Great Dane? For God's sake, I want to see the Great Dane. Well, anyway,
Upstairs. He's not allowed down here.
Do we have a consensus on the sales ring? Is it now going to be set at 200, rotated once a month? Or are you working towards all of them? Or what's your thoughts on the sales? I'm not holding you to anything. Just
well, my thoughts.
We've been trying different things, so let's see.
So my thoughts right now on the sales ring are that I think that the days of 20 and 20 sires, 20 mares are probably over.
Well, and it's so much work for you going in and having to change a new 20 every so. That's why the bigger number is.
That's the biggest. Honestly, that's really the biggest issue because what happens is that if I don't have time to change it or time to manage it or look at every single one of them, then the sales ring stays up too long. Then there's too many horses come from the same sires or mares. There's not enough freshness in that. I think that came from originally from when it first developed, a little bit of fear as far as I think Induna's first. I think the first horse to come out of there that was like that was Induna's horse. It scared the hell out of me as far as what it was working and stuff. And I think ever since then I kind of just been wanted to work with it with kid gloves but there's issues there with as far as there's too many horses from the same sires or mare, and like you said, it's more of a time management thing. So I think that the best case scenario would be to open it up.
Billy, if you have something on in the background, could you turn it down? It's hard to.
That's not me.
Yeah, it's since you came on.
Yeah, it's a TV, a radio, or something.
Hang on, let me check.
Oh, it might have been that lady in the background talking on the phone.
So and bring some cats back.
Jeez, put some pants on for God's sakes.
That's Vegas living right there, baby.
Yeah.
All right, so listen. What I think should happen is I think it should be wide open. I believe there's 800 sires, 500 to 600 mares. I believe that the ring should we should be adding all of them in there. That means every top sire, every top mare, and every bottom sire and every bottom mare are going to be in there at the same time. And if you happen to get lucky with, let's say, as an example, a rhythm and whatever, then that is truly the luck of the draw. You know what I mean? As far as the strike rate. And I think that by doing that, I no longer need to manage it as far as a rotation. And I also believe that your combinations will be so much different than what you've received in the past. They may actually develop a little bit more interest as far as the lines and how they carry through and what you can do from them from homebreds and everything else.
Okay. Now, question. Foggy asked this. We asked it before, and I can't remember the answer. Is there ever an opportunity to say, I pick the sire that I own, and then say, I want to randomly get a mare from the sales ring crop? Or
at this time, no, that's not an option.
Okay.
I mean, let's take this from a point of view of, let's say, besides that, is that our goal is to have home breeding the main source and that's the best and great value on the site. You know what I mean? So we're gonna still, whatever we do is still gonna be in the direction of creating that kind of ecosystem for the members, and we're gonna keep pushing in the homebred direction. And I think season by season, you start to see slight changes in the type of horses that have been born. Just looking at it from what you guys have, I think that some of the horses that have been born this season are different than the horses that were born last season from homebreds. And I think you're starting to see that slight change. And I think in the next 2 seasons, I think it's going to come full circle where, the biggest need out of homebreds has been more from the stayer side.
Mhm.
I think
Seems
that
to
will
be
continue.
moving in the right direction.
Right. I would say it's moving in that direction. And before we do anything crazy, like allowing you to take your sire and breed with a historical bloodline mare, I would rather see this thing go full circle and look at data before we start anything new like that. So right now, that's not something that's on the table.
Okay. So sales ring, you're working
Sales
towards
ring,
putting them all.
Excuse me.
Nothing definitive yet. Sort of still playing out.
I hope right now there's 190 horses in the sales ring, and I hope by Saturday that we have 1,200 in there.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, by Saturday, the ability to pull a rhythm or something like that from the ring will be there.
Oh, wow.
For
a day.
No,
2 rhythms pop out and boom, he's gone.
That's the thing. I believe in and I trust in our code, and I trust in the odds and the strike rate of stuff like that. And I believe that I never have to worry about pulling a horse from a sales ring because of what it produces, because it's fair and balanced. And if you happen to go into the sales ring and you pull a certain combo that works for you, I think that's perfectly okay.
In the meantime, the horses might have already gotten out of the barn. You don't even realize it. That one day that you had rhythm on there might end up changing the whole direction of the site. Here's what I'm thinking. Out of that combination, there were approximately a dozen, maybe more. Now, when you add in, multiply all those by the number of breeds they're going to put out, and if indeed the Rhythm Trillium line is going to be prolific as breeders, you've just, it's already happened. We just don't know it yet.
One, I would say, is it would be needed. It was needed. As far as what it seems like their bloodlines are, right? So it seems like their bloodlines are strong stayer, right? So I think that the influx of that would, I don't even know how many exactly they were. I think one of them's 9. Actually, I think it's 9 for rhythm. I'm not sure. But out of that, how many are sires versus how many are mares? And then all 9 of those aren't the same because they're all unique horses. So they have their own characteristics. So their bloodlines and genetics and how they carry through will be different as well. So it's not as straightforward as that. And I think that any further breeding from that line and the combinations will further change the future breeding of that line. You go from the purest form to a form that's it's been changed, or added different lines in with it. So I don't think
Tony's talking about blue ticket. Blue ticket should not be $1,000 if you're going to do that.
I don't know. Are we missing questions here?
You should outlaw.
We got some comments and questions.
Right. Well, this is right. Tony's point. So because twice a month is ideal. Keep 100 stallions and the mares in each and changing the entire batch. I don't want to have to change this. I like automation, and I like and I don't want to have to manually do this. So we're 100 and 100. Are we good? I think if we're going to go that far, you might as well put them all in, and it's true. I think it would be kind of exciting to truly not ever really know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
The possibilities are endless.
Well, and that turns the corner as far as making the homebreds a better group as a whole than the sales ring horses, because up to this point the sales ring has had the edge, however much that is. But this would, I think, but just this move here, which you don't realize, some of these moves are relatively subtle, but they can solve just an enormous amount of problems.
Bob, do you know how many blue tickets are out there?
Unused?
Do I know how many blue tickets that are unused?
Yeah.
There's not that many.
Okay.
You're talking.
Because they're worth gold right now.
That's what I said. They should be $1,000 from now on.
If you have a blue ticket unused and come April 1st, every
man.
single horse is going to be out there.
Wow.
You want to tell me how many Rhythm and Trilliums are going to be born?
Yep.
Well, what I'll say is that let's get them out of the system and let's move. Let's get them out. Let's use them up. I think I can check, but I would say that it's close to 0.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Well, then it's
if you
even
think
worth
about,
more.
well, there's only a couple people that were holding them. And Foggy had one or two. I'm
No,
not sure if you used
I don't
it.
have any. I don't have any.
No, I'm saying you might have used them. You had them at one.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was some time ago.
I'm saying at that point in time, I think Foggy had a couple. I think Creek had maybe had a couple. Creek, honestly, if I could guess who might have a blue ticket, I would say Creek and Induna. They would be my two guesses, but I don't know for sure because I know they both used blue tickets. So I don't know. I'd have to check and see what they have. But I think that what I have to say on that is they either receive them or purchase them or whatever in a fair way, in a justified way that they've spent money on. So, I can't worry about that right now. So if the game needs to move forward or whatever it is, and they happen to have a couple, they will use them and they will be gone.
Yeah, they earned them.
No, I was
right.
just curious.
Sure.
And there's no guarantee on what they're even going to get with the blue ticket. So
God love
correct.
them if they have a blue ticket. I didn't mean that to be a negative.
right. No, I'm making myself clear. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm suggesting that there be no more blue tickets, and so I better make sure I'm clear on that. That would be my vote. If you're going to open it up and there's such a huge hit rate against you,
yeah, no, I think that
they just
right.
become
I think it needs to be used how it was originally intended. I think at the time it was a great sales tool. It helped generate revenue for the site. This is what the site always needs. I mean, listen, we have to fund all these events and all the added money purses and stuff, and people and program and stuff. It's not, so it helps with the kind of stuff. And at the time, it played a role. And when you offered a blue ticket, people bought it. It helped generate revenue. It didn't generate. It wasn't some crazy number, but it all adds up, right?
Yeah.
So what I think where it needs to be used is where the original idea of it was for let's say, if you win the BC Classic, okay, as part of the purse payout, why not receive a blue ticket?
Oh, if it's going to be that special, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not something that you offer in packs, and it's not something that you get allow people to buy like candy.
Good Lord.
And I think if you had some great event that runs once a year or whatever it may be, and that's like the big prize, I see no problem with that. But as far as on any mass scale, no way. I don't think once we open it up, we will never offer it like that again.
Got it.
Good.
Okay.
So recap. Expect the ring to expand greatly from the 190 now to possibly 1,200 by this weekend, and I hope to be done with that. Now, after we do that, we will be evaluating the profiles and mixes and production of foals and whatever. We obviously will always be mindful. We will look at this kind of stuff.
No, obviously, yeah. Okay. So
I think that covered every question that was on the board.
Yeah.
But Tony says, I agree with Tony here. Tony makes a great point about old poor breeders should be purged. Now, listen, I don't know what I can do to help this, but I think the reason why some of these don't get purged is people don't want to go through the tedious process of retiring them one by one. And I say to that, well, you should have never let it get to that point. I mean, if you have two, you could have been retiring them as you went along and it wouldn't be an issue. I guess what I can do is, and someone will have to remind me later, is that I can create some type of select all. But what's going to happen is, or select multiples, but I already know what's going to happen as soon as I do that. The next message will be, I retired these by accident.
That'll be me. I just deleted my whole stable.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
well, do they cause a problem? I mean, is there some problem with them being there? Does it make the site run slow or?
No. Well, listen, I mean, no, that's never been the issue. Our site's super fast, but that is a good point. Obviously, it's data, and the more data you hold, the more gigs we're using, and the more expensive it becomes to manage the server. That's really where that comes to. Like, for instance, I just had to I just had to purge or remove like 30 gigs of past history of workout times.
Yeah. Okay.
Because and I'm talking like, I'm going back to like 2007 or just really old stuff, like, because it stays on the server and it just takes up space. So
okay. Well, I keep some of mine around because if someone new comes to the game, and they want to breed, I'm like, hey, you know what? Here, I'll just sell you this breeder for like $5. You could breed all you want, no guarantee. But so, I mean, then I start getting rid of them after a while. But okay, I see. Tony says if they don't breed for 3 seasons, then they should be. That's the requirement.
Any
But
thoughts
then
on
what
that?
you'll have is people use them one time a year to avoid that. So anyway, all right, we're gonna move on to the membership levels because we still have the platinums coming soon. Any update on the platinum?
No, so we, got behind on a few things, and quite frankly, the PHP code upgrade is still ongoing and has.
What does that stand for?
I don't know.
Like, is that just a programming language? Or-
Yeah, it's programming language.
Okay, because for those of us that don't know what PHP,
I'm told it's 97% done, but it's been taking up so much of our time since August
okay,
that a lot of things that I've wanted done, are quite frankly are still sitting there. One of them would be the platinum membership thing, but before platinum would be, the reduction of the sales price for making an offer. I'd like to see that kicked in. There's, maybe I have a couple of the bonuses for the fall bonus and stuff like that. That stuff hasn't kicked in yet. It's still on the table. And trust me, as soon as we get as soon as we get freed up, we're going to hammer all this stuff out pretty much at once. So yeah, the breeder's bonus, the sire's bonus, the full bonus, all that stuff with the sales and make offer. That's the first leg of that to finish before we even do platinum, because we want that finish so that when we do platinum, it already exists and we don't have to really make any changes. It's just introduce platinum and then you have the coding for platinum, but it carries over from gold. So the important thing is to get all the things involved with gold correct, included, and then move to platinum.
Got it.
We're close to there, but at the same time, we're trying to have these new pages built. Someone mentioned yesterday that they didn't even know certain pages that we had. Oh, they didn't know this was there with the owner's profile page and how you can actually look into all of their races. I don't know, maybe I never mentioned it, but we have like layered jockeys pages that are almost ready to be done. 2-3 layers of jockey pages that are new and fantastic. We have all the new breeders pages that are going to be new and so excuse me. There's a ton of stuff that's sitting there. Some of it's being worked on, some of it's to be worked on. And I just can't wait to get through this PHP thing, which is absolutely killing me.
Yeah, I hear you.
So it's coming. The platinum is coming. It's I would say it's probably mid-season of the next season is probably more ideal for platinum. And I think that probably by the end of this season, all of the sire bonus, the other gold benefits should be in play.
Okay, cool. Now, the next question I have, and I don't expect you to give away secrets if I'm asking you to, but it's a lot of it's for new members and even us old members, of how a race. 2 questions. When we all enter a race and a race posts, in the computer, the race is sitting there like in a pending status, I assume. And then like at 13:05, that's when the computer, that's like the 20-second delay, because then the computer runs the race or the algorithm or whatever, and then it takes like 20 seconds to show it to us, to make it available for us to watch the video.
Well, you can see the results immediately. It doesn't take 20 seconds to post a result.
Well, usually it's like, I guess I'm just trying to get at the whole.
If I go three, let's say the race starts, it's at 13:05, and it hits 13:05, and I refresh more times than that, it's the results are immediately available. Okay.
So what I'm getting at is at some point in time, there's a cutoff on Jockey Switch. I don't know if it's an hour before or 15 before or whatever. So, in other words, the outcome of the race isn't determined until the clock strikes midnight, right?
Nice. I'm sorry, I was reading a message. Can you say that
Okay.
again? The last part.
So, up until a race runs, nothing has gone on behind the scene other than it's put them in a post and assigned a jockey. Okay, but you can change your jockey up to a certain time. So the overall question is at 13:05. So I have a race at 13:05. That's when the race engine runs the race and makes it available. Like nothing happens other than the post assignment and then you changing your jockeys. But the race engine operates at the second the race is going off. Is that correct?
Right. So, okay. And it's an interesting question because, this is, people kind of want to understand how some of this works. And I hear certain things or whatever. That doesn't
Yes,
make any
that's
sense.
what I'm trying to get away from.
Right.
Bob
So,
could
like,
go in and affect the outcome.
Yeah. I mean, listen, a conspiracy theory's mentality is a loser's mentality. But the bottom line is that, people always think of these things like, what are they doing behind the scenes and this and that, whatever. We do nothing. I mean, basically, first of all, I don't have access to the race engine. No one does. It's encrypted and it's built in a certain way. It takes incoming stuff from a pipeline to the race engine, and that's that. Now, what happens as far as posting times and stuff like that and jockeys? It's a good question, and people to understand have no problem explaining it. You need to have organization, okay? And when you're running a site like this and with race times and things like that, and people need to know when things happen. So we basically run these jobs basically on crons. They're called cron jobs. So it keeps everything organized. And we can change things like jockey, when you can pick jockeys, claiming races, same thing. It's on the cron job, right? So we have just decided, it's for no reason, that a race should close 24 hours ahead of time. So if your race is 13:05, the race is going to close at 24 hours the day before 13:05. Now, I can change this to 1 hour before 13:05, okay? Or 12 hours, or 2 days, or 6 months. I can literally close a race 6 months ahead of time, okay?
Yeah.
We've selected in the past for it to be 24 hours because we thought that was a fair 24 hours before, and it keeps it organized, and you keep going from there. You know what I mean? Just kind of moving along. Now, that can always be changed. Now, from the time that you enter a race to the time that the race posts to close, the only thing that happens is, and I could show everybody the screen because, it's nothing to it, okay? All it does is in the server is basically show that this horse has been entered by this owner at this time, okay? And these are their jockey selections, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what it does is it just keeps a list of those in that race number 357, whatever. These are your race entries. These are entered into race, and it holds them there. When the cron job clicks to 24 hours ahead of time, it closes that race, okay? Goes through a process to select jockeys and gates and all that kind of stuff, whatever, and posts it to the site. Then that's what you see. You see the posting, right? Now, from the time that the race is posted to the time that it runs, that's 24 hours away, okay? Mm-hmm. It literally just sits there. It does nothing. There's nothing to it. It stays exactly the same. If anybody changed anything, you would know because you could look at your horse and tell that this was changed or a weight was changed or a jockey was changed or whatever it is, right? It stays right there. 24 hours later it goes around. Race time is 13:05. Race is run immediately. The results are posted immediately, and it takes a slight delay to watch the video feed. Video feed is always after the results.
So you categorically deny that there's a doom switch.
I categorically deny there's a doom switch. You would know. Okay.
Yeah, because, thank you.
You would know. Look, we've built this game as best we possibly could to eliminate anything like that. Like, let's say if I'm not around to manage the game, I know that I can go to on vacation for 2 weeks and know that nothing like that nefarious is happening on the site because that you don't even have access to it or you can't change things without your notice. So, for instance, in order for me to doom switch your horse, you would have to change something about that horse, right? Something would have to change. I'm not going to add some element in code or whatever to change whatever it is, but you would see your horse has not, your ratings haven't changed, your confirmation, all this other stuff, your weight. So no, there's nothing that happens between the time that it posts and the time that the race runs. I say, well, why don't they just run the race then? Well, guess what? We could just run the race for you. You don't have to wait 24 hours. But this is a game.
Show it to us until 13:05.
No, well, we don't want to. This is a game. Let's what's the point of this? Of what? It's just this trainer create race. It's this digital trainer create race where we just do trainer create races every 2 seconds.
I like getting it 24 hours events because then I can see like my post and everything. You can go in tomorrow's race and see all the races.
Right, but you can change it to say is a 1 hour cutoff for jockeys good enough?
Is that what it is? 1 hour? I couldn't.
I don't know what it is. I mean, you guys race. What is it? Is it an hour?
Yeah,
I thought it was like 15 minutes.
An hour, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, if you guys wanted it 12 hours, I could do 12 hours. If you wanted 30 minutes, I could do 30 minutes. It's the same thing with claimers. I think
claimers might be 15 minutes. That's what I'm thinking of.
Right.
Like you
but
can
like
only
I said,
claim a horse up to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The only change I would suggest is if you could do it, maybe make it so that you can do jockey instructions right up like until 5 or 10 minutes before the race. And the reason is a lot of times guys don't tune in, like they're coming home from work and stuff, and they come in to catch the races. And so they get there and they see something that they finally can look at the race and peruse it, and they want to make a change. Well, it's gone. So just as far as jock instructions, I would say if you could make that closer to race time, but it's not, it's not a,
I mean,
it's not a game changer either way, but
I'll look at it. I don't know. I think I have to look at it, but yeah, it's not again, something like that's not a big deal to me because it doesn't impact me. It's like, guys, do whatever you want. I mean, if you want jockeys to be 15 minutes before a race, that's fine by me. If you want to be able to close a race, look, before someone said, why don't you close a race 12 hours ahead of time, not 24 hours?
Okay.
Well, some people, it's a world game. But some people need that 24 hours because during that first 12 hours is when they have access.
Yeah. So 15 minutes before the race could be meaning someone's got to get up at 3 a.m. and make a change, where those of us in the U.S. don't have to do that. So that's I get the 24 or the hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so I've asked this numerous times. You've answered it numerous times, and again, if this is proprietary secret stuff, that's fine. The race is running. Okay, we're watching on video. Is everything we see in that video the way the computer said, okay, this horse is going to stay 3 wide the whole race, or this horse has an open slot, but he's not going to drop in? Like, can we assume that what we're seeing is stuff relevant to us when evaluating a horse? Or is it sort of a combination of, okay, the horses kind of have to finish in an order. So things happen, like a horse comes flying a stretch and then almost stops before he wins. I mean, how much of it is, and again, if you don't want to answer, I completely understand, but how much can watching a race benefit me as to that's the way it played out? And the part 2 of this is because I constantly get the question, Jesus, my horse was on push. He went right to the back. So those type of things, like, So answer as much as you can, but if you
So we don't add it. Okay, yeah. So we don't add any fluff into the video feed. Okay, we don't add any elements that don't exist in the actual race code and race layout through the pipeline in the engine. All right. So I think I'm not sure. I actually should have done this myself, but I think if you watch, forget the finish line right now for the Unity, because the finish line artwork obviously needs to be changed because it's too wide and not the right spot. So sometimes that little head bob at the end, someone might say, hey, my horse finished.
Right.
If it's basically a dead heat and it's like 1/1000th of a second, the artwork may be a little bit off right now in the Unity. So we'll get to that. But in general, if you watch the Unity 3D viewer and you watch the older 3D viewer, the Unreal one, I believe they match.
Okay.
And I think that is, and these are totally 2 different software programs, 2 or whatever, because why does it match? Because they're using real race data code, you know what I'm saying? And they're interpreting it the same exact way. So I think that alone should prove to you guys of that we are definitely, showing feed from actual data, okay, that's coming from the race engine. So to answer your question, I would say, yes, you can absolutely take something from the video feed. I would say the 2D feed, no. Okay.
Yeah.
The 2D feed that you're using with the mobile, not as much. The 3D feeds, you can absolutely take something from it, because I will tell you, if you are running, let's say 6 furlongs and you are blocked in lane 2, okay? You were running in lane 2 and you were blocked. That's literally what happened to you.
Okay.
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 Now, and so you have to look at this and say, okay, well, in that circumstance, in the 8-horse field, and I had this gate with this jockey in my instruction, that caused that horse to be blocked, along with their instructions, their this, that, whatever. So a combination between this created that running lane for your horse, created that style, created that pace, and created you being blocked. And you can take something from that and say, that may happen again if the same exact circumstances stack up.
Okay. So I was watching a race the other day with Berkey's Superstar in it, and it just looked like from the get-go the horse was not going to win. He got behind the worst wall ever, and it's like, gosh, you know.
You have to.
He wasn't supposed to win.
Thanks for reminding me.
Let's talk about the push example that you had originally. Okay. Now, if you think about it like this, your push time, and you say, oh, my push time is this, the fastest time, I'm going to use push, or for whatever reason you use push. Okay. But if you have 6 horses in a race and let's say you're outside or you're in gate 7, and your push time is this, your 2 furlongs on push is whatever, 22.70. Okay. And the horse in the 2 lane and 3 lanes, they're on push as well. Their 2 furlong time is 22.40. Okay. It's kind of like an intuitive or dynamic thing with the jockeys. You're going to go push from the outside. The engine realizes, that's not going to work. It's just like real life. And if you go to push in a real life race to the front and you can't get there, what's going to end up happening to the horse? He's going to have to fall in somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. So he has to drop in. It's the same thing with this game. If we know that the horse isn't going to be able to cross in front of everybody, you're outside trying to go in, it's not going to work. You have to then fit in. You have to fall in place. What happens if you can't find a spot? You're going to get pushed back. And it can happen within the first 15 seconds of the race. You can see it. It pushes out, and then the horse goes kind of backwards, whatever. And you may get pissed off and say, oh, my horse, was put. Your horse had no business up front, was never going to make it, okay? And the jockey had to make an adjustment to find a place, an idea so you have a chance. So,
the race engine,
and the video shows you that.
The race engine now is terrific, and intuitively, just in my subconscious, I feel as though one of the things maybe that got tweaked or something was that the 2 and 3 lanes aren't as punishing as they used to be. You see horses that actually can go 3 wide and end up winning a race and stuff, and that's really refreshing, because the old way just got so old that
you can see 4 wide horses now do it. I don't know when the time period was. We did make a tweak to this wasn't this season or whatever.
No, it was about 3 seasons ago.
We did. I don't say we make a tweak. We took a hard look at the drag basically on some of the running lanes in certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's like, okay, is there too much drag penalty? Because there are some issues with being 3 wide. Obviously, your distance is different because you're running actually a longer distance than someone that's running on the inside. Right. There's a lot of factors that go into a race that
you've got to be some stress on your horse too.
Yeah. And again, we can go back to workout time and say, well, why is my workout time this? Well, listen, you're not running with any of these issues. When you run in a race, you're going to run into some of these issues. And I think that in certain circumstances, we found that the drag to be too drastic for horses that had this type of running style or wanted this type of running lane or whatever it may be. So, I think we're happy. We're happy with it. We don't, expect any other, changes right at the moment. You know what I mean? But I agree, Foggy. I think you see, or Dan, I think you see, you can see a difference now.
I remember the Discord discussion on that, whether it was in the main discussion or off on the side. I do remember there was a term. Was it drag? I don't know why. I do remember
we don't listen, we don't list the 100 or so. We don't list every aspect and what elements in there, and that's fine. You know, you're not going to know it anyway. But you know, when we say, I agree with Foggy, the engine is great. I'm going on a limb and say, I'm not even going out on a limb. I'm telling you that this is the best race engine in the world for virtual horse racing, as it is right now. Okay, it's not even close. Matter of fact, we've only tapped into probably 20% of the possibilities of what we could do with this engine. Okay. But it's can anything be enhanced, tweaked? Absolutely. You know, we always have that at our discretion, but we don't show you all the things. You know, we want to talk about drift and drag and all this other shit. It's there. And when you talk about horse attributes, there's certain attributes that work with these things, and these attributes that you don't see.
Okay. All right. That was my next question. Again, it's no sight. I get that question from the new people. Like, you know, we always hear about heart and momentum and all that, but is there, if you don't mind, I mean, is there 20, 50, 100 other things that we don't see? You know, like, hey, he gets around a curve better, or he can handle to, I mean, is just, again, you could just say no, like, I don't want to say that, but
no, I mean,
honestly, how many other things we don't see?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into any type of great detail on this aspect of it. There are obviously things that you don't see, and with the like you may also be shown some direct attributes, right? You may be shown
that my horse is dumb.
Well, I guess you're not even shown the attributes. I mean, technically speaking, you're shown meters, which nobody uses, and you should. Okay,
I use them.
The meters. The old way of training, you got to know your horse and know how a horse was impacted by certain meters. If your meter was 90% strength or your meter was 98 endurance, and you know, so it obviously with the 4-month game, that was a long-term training process squeezed into a 4-month game. It didn't make any sense.
Right.
So the fact that you could reset your meters and train and race, that's the best thing for this site. But it's not to say that these meters aren't important. Now, that's what we show you. We show you those meters, but you don't know how many actual attributes are being used. You don't know how many actual attributes jockeys are used. Yeah. You don't know any of that stuff. They all exist. My next
one too.
Well.
Once you get past this, remind me I have a jockey question.
Yeah. Okay. So these things all exist. Now I'll give you a perfect example. Okay. If you go and train your horse right now, you go train the horse, and go ahead and mess with the strength and endurance meters, and tell me what if you see a difference or not. Right? Now, you don't know how each one of them meters then are also used in the race engine based on any race condition, track surface, drift, drag, whatever it may be. You don't know which attributes are associated with what. Now, you can start to get an idea as you start to run races, whether it's on off surface or what gate you're in or the distance or whatever. But all that stuff matters. And no, you can't see the majority of it.
Yep.
But I would say, you can experiment with certain things.
Yeah. I had to do it when I first came here. That's the only reason we were still doing the lead pony, whatever, and all whatever it was, and trying to time the meters and all that. So you did notice some things like, hey, 95 is just as good as 100 or maybe even better on certain situations. But anyway, okay. So on jockeys, is there any additional information coming on jockeys, like jockey, I don't know, confirmations, I guess. Good getting out of the gate. Good this, good that.
More descriptive stuff instead
of ratings. The jockeys, and that's all.
Yeah. No, so we're gonna, and this is kind of what we've been working on. So we have some things rolling out, okay, that are new. First of all, from the information standpoint, you will get a little bit more information on jockeys. So you might see more from like a jockey preference standpoint. Okay, so you might see more of this jockey prefers route, or this jockey prefers turf, or this jockey prefers route turf, or this jockey. You might see more of that. Okay, this jockey is good with maidens. This jockey, you know what I'm saying? So you might Well, first, let me say this. This is without me changing anything. So I'm not. Let's just say I didn't change anything with regards to jockeys as far as their abilities. I'm not saying I won't. I'm just saying for this argument or this conversation piece, just assume all that's the same. So whatever jockey you see now is the same thing I'm saying that you will see then. In the description, you may see more about this jockey. Okay, what I may prefer.
Okay.
Additionally, as a layered thing, you'll actually now be able to pull data from that. So it's like if you wanted to know who had the top statistic for 2-year-olds on dirt at parks at 6 furlongs, you'll be able to get that information.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So it's not anymore just like a track specific thing where you go to the jockey standings and say, who's the best jockey on turf? Who's the best jockey at 6 furlongs at Churchill? I'm talking about more detail, like claiming levels, age levels, sex levels, for jockeys. Just
But
more
in
detail.
the end, some of it's still going to be based on the best jockeys get the best horses, right? So,
well, that's not. I mean, I guess that's to each his own preference. I mean, you choose the jockeys, right? I mean, there's plenty of jockeys that are good that aren't used.
Oh no, I test my own jockeys, but I'm just saying that IRAD has a 37% winning at whatever, probably because if I understand the way the jockey assignment works, that means someone who has either the best wins or most races picks him. So, like, several jockeys would have won on that horse, but he's going to be shown as top because he got picked. Because I'm sure a lot of people just go in and look at win percent and say, yeah, I'll take that jockey when they're going down the list. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, sometimes you can think it might get low.
Obviously, they win
if the same jockeys picked, if the same jockeys picked all the time, obviously they're going to have better data. But I think it starts. But see, you kind of have to pierce through that, right? Because if you say overall, this jockey, let's say, I don't know, give me a jockey name. Let's say
Castellano.
Yeah, Castellanos. Let's say overall Castellanos is a 15% winner. And he's run 200 races, but then if you go into 6 furlong, 2-year-olds, he's a 25% winner.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to pierce through some of this stuff because even though that Ortiz still may be, getting great numbers at 2-year-olds. What I'm saying, like Ortiz may still have the great numbers at 2-year-olds as he does overall, but this jockey has great numbers at 2-year-olds. But overall he's not. You can see clearly that he has a bias towards that 2-year-old dirt or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you'll see that in the bio. So it's going to be more of a layered thing. So on top of just seeing the change in the bio, on top of seeing more additional information, you will also be able to now go down to actual stables. So you can now then click on this jockey and you can see who has used the jockey.
Okay.
All in the same place. So I'm going to click on the stable. I'm going to click on this jockey. It's going to show me all of the stables that have used this jockey and all of the race data for that owner that used that jockey.
Jeez.
Like, that's how far you're going to go down with this.
And I can export it.
Yeah, we can get to the export thing. Export, it's easy to do. It's just I got to remember to tell the programmer to build it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Cool. So a lot of changes coming to the jockey information.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And there's a lot more now than there used to be as well. So I want to make it seem like
more
it's
jockeys.
It's been evolving, but even more. Okay. All right. Next topic. I'm sure you're probably running out of gas here. I know you don't like to talk, so breeding. Breeding is what we all want to do, but we all want to breed well. And
right.
So some of the newer guys have said to me, how in the hell do you know what to breed with what? And I said, I got an easy answer for you. I don't. It's hit and miss for me, but obviously some people do. So I'm not asking you for tips. I'm asking you is there any additional information coming on a particular horse, or any way to make it so that we now, before I say, I want to preface it, the oldest breeders here probably won't like more information, but is there anything that can change the way we breed? Like, is there any more information, any better information, or are we going into this season the same as like what you see is what you get?
All right. Well, I guess where do I want to start with this? If you're old school, you can get a look into the breeding, potential breeding of your sires or mares by their true race form. It's not. It's you have to be careful though, because people race irresponsibly. Okay, and they put horses in all types of races they don't belong in. They might win a race at 1 1/8, but had no business being in the race. It just so happened that they were in a race with 7 other horses that didn't belong there. And all of a sudden now you think that this horse is a classic style horse and offspring's going to be classic, when it's false. If you go to its basically to its core and you look at its work times and its success in sprint races, it's more of a sprinter type horse. I can tell you that more of those traits probably are going to go through than its router traits. It's just obviously a better, faster sprinter horse, right? So for me to take a sprinter and to think that I'm going to produce routers doesn't make sense. Now, can you occasionally get a horse that looks like a router? Yes, because of the uniqueness of the breeding program, where in anybody's genes, look, I'm a 5'9". My wife's 5'5". My son may end up 6'3". You know what I mean?
Right.
It can happen, right?
Right.
So what I would say is, if you want to strip away everything, you can look at a race form. It's not gonna be an exact science, but you get an idea of the type of horse it is. But be careful when looking at the form, because you're gonna see horses run out of place. Okay, try to get into its wheelhouse to get an idea. Now, the secondary thing would be you can look at the conformations. The conformations were built originally to give you insight on the types of horses or types of things that you could breed, and you should be able to marry them together. However, when that was introduced and rolled out, there were flaws. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The first flaw being the 5X types. The 5X types are great conformations. They're fantastic, and they hold true. Okay? But they were so good that it was hard to then use them to create a certain type of horse in the breeding process by marrying them up with certain things. It just made it more difficult, okay, to create specific types of runners, right? If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And those early days of that and the sales ring, whatever, produced speed. A lot of speed horses in those 5X, I think, right? So what happened over time was we just kept producing more speed on speed on speed on speed until we started matching the 5Xs up with horses that weren't 5X. Okay, so once you did that, then it created different types of horses, and it needed more time to evolve, right?
Okay.
But what was noticed was we got basically from sprinters to classics, but it was still harder to introduce the stayers because, again, it was more of like the high conforms. So my answer to this would be, I still plan on revamping the conformations. Okay. And I think that once I change the conformations as far as what you see, so I guess to be clear, not changing horses, not changing attributes, not changing what you have, what you see on your screen, the forward side, changing a little bit of that, tweaking that, so it makes more sense that you can then use your conformations even better to start producing, hopefully, certain types of horses, and then you can rely less on race form. You can incorporate it, the ability, stakes, race form, whatever, and as the conformation is more of a secondary thing, that is a confirmation, not confirmation. It allows you to confirm. Confirmation with the race form allows you to confirm that you have a better chance of producing this type of foal. So I don't know if that helped.
Yeah.
That
No,
answered the question.
No, that's good. That's good. I just always, me, I'm always looking for more information.
No.
I'm a data guy. I need
And
to
for new
analyze. So
and for new people, I would say, listen, if you see a 5X horse, they may, to other people that have been here a while, they may have lost its luster because they may have so many of them. A 5X horse has an excellent confirmation on how this horse is, its bloodlines and stuff like that. But they are powerful. They still hold much value, especially if you don't have many sires or mares in your barn. But you can use them, to fix certain things or create certain things. It's not ideal to breed a 5X to a 5X. You know what I mean?
Right. What I found is, well, most of the 5Xs early on really weren't racers, but unfortunately, when I would breed them with a so-called racer or a better racer, for some reason the 5X horse would pass on its non-racing skills. I'd get a high conform horse that couldn't run, but I could see that gradually, it's, and I'm not saying that could have been all my fault by what I didn't really have that good of horses to pair up with them. So, but I've got some 5Xs that are running really good now, so I'm anxious to let them go at their career and then breed them. So, but I think what you see is people will breed a pair and they'll get like a horse that looks good. They'll breed the same pair, and then the horse looks like it's a create. It's like, how does that happen? There's got to be.
But if you did, I know. But if you did that 20 times, then you would see that, statistically, speaking, that it's you have outliers. You're going to have outliers. I mean, exactly. The breeding process is so true, okay, that it allows for stuff like that. Yeah. Because you can have
obviously
ugly babies
and like that. Breed all champions. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, majority of offspring are not very good. They're mostly in real life are claimers, but it's you have to have that possibility, or
I
mean, it's just people sometimes don't understand it, and I think part of that is the way the confirmations are part of the way the confirmations are worded. Some people can look at the ratings, but some people will just come in and say, "Well, I have an excellent this, and I have a very good this, and how did I produce a good? If I used an excellent and a very good, it's because it's." What you're seeing visually, the words, the text is slightly flawed, and that needs to be changed and tweaked. The data in the background is legit.
Okay. Yeah, so, I was going to ask that part, like an excellent producing a fair or good, but okay.
Yeah, because you have to think of it like ranges and stuff, and it was when we, I guess it was hastily done. But let's say if there's a cutoff between, let's say we're using ranges in the background for certain things, and you go through one level, one little point, and it changes it to very good or whatever it is. It's, I wish I would like to do the whole thing over again, because I think that, we can paint a better picture for you.
Yeah, I got it. No, it's
definitely going to happen. I just have to have the time to sit down and actually.
Well, I just, since it's kind of the wave that we want to go, that you said the site wants to go is homebreds. So.
Yeah. You have to fix the confirmations have to be fixed. Yeah. The reason why I didn't do it 2 seasons ago was because it was the whole fear of pissing people off again. Yeah. No, I don't want to upset people. So when they go, oh, well, I have a 5X. Oh, that's great. But it doesn't help you because you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to read it. You don't know how to use it. Right? So if I make the necessary changes and you no longer have a 5X horse, then, who are you upsetting? What I'm doing is actually helping you. You don't even realize it, So,
That's been my whole life, Bob. I never realized when people are helping.
Yeah. It's to help everybody to game and the whole 9 yards, and it'll eventually be done, and we'll deal with the little minor fallout. But the bottom line is, once it's all said and done, people will be happy that we did it.
Yep. Okay, so a couple things on the comments that I noticed that we probably didn't get into when we were talking about memberships. Which stable is Alan Arnold? I don't know. If you're still on here. So what he's saying is it possible to set up recurring membership where it just debits a card or PayPal, so that you don't expire and then have to go in and pick an expired. I think that's what he's saying. It happened to me. My expired, I didn't pay attention, and I went back to the regular membership, and I missed out on $1.22 in state bonuses or whatever. But so would you ever go with a recurring?
Yeah, so
auto debit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so we're looking into this, and I think that as far as we will take it, will be you have a recurring option, but only a recurring option for the credits in your account.
Okay. Fair enough.
So we won't take it further than that and bill a card, because I don't want to be any liability issues. I don't want to even be involved in that world where then I have to worry about charge, all this other stuff. So we are looking into the recurring option for credits on hand.
Okay. Fair enough. And then way back when we were talking about time trials and you wanted an organizer, Argo started putting comments. All distances top 5, each distance point system, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So there you were looking for someone to be in charge. There's your guy. He's already working on it.
Oh man.
A volunteer. So do we know who Alan is? Which stable? Alan Arnold?
Yeah, Alan is well, I'm not sure he wants me.
I just haven't seen that name.
Bob, you're gonna schedule those 4-year-old races for us there for our 4-year-olds trying to make the classic.
Yeah, 1 second.
Wait, he's got
because we're running out of time. I think the Derby is Saturday, and he was going to put them next to the big races. They don't have to be. As long as we can get a sufficient number of them in.
That's another topic, but probably not for the podcast because we'll go forever on it. The 4-year-old racing. Well, you can talk about it if you want. For the Breeders' Cup Classic qualifying races, that kind of 4-year-olds kind of had a limited chance to make the classic.
Yeah, we just need a few more races. That's all.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna post 4 of them.
Perfect.
Do you want to talk about the?
By the way, I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question. Alan Arnold is Panhandle Farms.
Oh, Panhandle. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a note right here. I meant to do it yesterday, so I'm gonna do 4 races. They're gonna be 4-year-old only.
Yep.
For the classic, for the BC Classic, to help offset the gap that was created for the Kentucky Derby Series.
So slight history. A lot of the BC Classic lead-up races were the Kentucky Derby lead-up races, which 4-year-olds couldn't run. So 4-year-olds were kind of limited to points they could get. So to square that off, you're going to add some races that 4-year-olds can enter and possibly earn some points and get in.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's basically a little bit of an oversight there. There was a couple races that were canceled because not enough entries.
Yep.
But the majority of the races that were scheduled were for 3-year-old only, like he said, and that'll be addressed now, and you will have somewhat of a shot to get in. So.
Yep. Okay.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
I have no more questions. So it's either questions from the crew or Bob's animal stories.
Yeah.
Or if you want to say anything that you think should be brought up, Bob, you have the floor.
Well, anybody else got any questions?
I'm looking through. I don't.
Chrisman agrees with Fogg. He says, 5 minutes before for jock chain.
And Gary says maybe on the conform.
Yeah, I would rather not really get into the details of the confirmation, other than that they're changing and we'll there'll be more.
Okay, so I think we took all the. I don't know. Did you see this one from Berkey originally?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think we've hammered all the issues that we've discussed, and I applaud you for being very open with us and giving us your time. Obviously, when you talk about sites, and I know it sounds like a total suck up, but no other site offers this. Let's be honest. Between Discord and live podcasts with the owner, where else do you get that?
So. No, I enjoy it. You know, and you guys make it fun. I mean, the people in Discord make it fun. I mean, that's, you know, it's part. It takes a community to do this, and just a reminder to people that are, you know, that are fairly new is that, you know, we try to build what you guys want. Now, obviously, we don't take every single little suggestion and folk you know, build our future around that. What we do is we just stay involved. We have our ear to the ground, basically. And, you know, we try to build, you know, a game of what the community needs that makes sense, you know, makes sense for everybody. Then, you know, we'll implement those changes. We are quick to react on a lot of things. Do we make mistakes? You know, absolutely. But, you know, we'll just continue to develop. You know, some people come here, they come to this game and they say, well, it's a great game, but, you know, it's not there yet. You know, it's going to be there soon, but it's not there yet. And like almost like it's like a negative thing, you know, because certain aspects of the site may not be as fine tuned, or the detail on certain things, you want more detail, it's not there yet. And they claim that because of that, the site's just not there yet. It'll get there someday, but right now it's not ready. Well, I don't really worry about that. I know I see his comments like that. Well, we work every day hard as hell to get it there. And when we think we are there, we're still not going to stop. You know what I mean? Things can always be improved. Things can always be enhanced. We will always look for the new ideas. So you can sit there on the sidelines and always say, well, you know, they're always working on something, or this is not done, or this is not done. Well, it's always going to be like that. We're always going to push forward and work on new things. You know, if we get to a moment where I can sit there and say, this is a complete product, it's a finished product, then I would be personally concerned.
Right.
Because
there's always something.
I'm not okay with that.
You would like to have it so that there's not a lot of major updates or things, unless there's something new that the software allows or something. But you're always tweaking. And for those that are new, several of the items, either race types or reports or stable pages, were submitted by the members. It's like, hey, can we get a summary of this, or can we get a summary of that, or can we get hort races for under 99, because I like to keep them and run them. But you know, these are member ideas. I'm not saying
a lot of them
doesn't have his own ideas, but
no, I mean you're right.
A
lot of them are.
This is a community. It's almost like we're all part owners, or are all on the committee. You know, and no, you know, it's all in presentation too. When you present an idea, like, this sucks, why don't we do this, isn't probably going to get as good an answer as, hey, you know, it might be, and you might want to consider something like this, which could lead to this. But you know, so
how is delivered and packaged always matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and you know, I don't like feeling that way on certain things. You know, people will message me, and they message me in such a, like, you know, coarse way. You know, and it's just like it's immediately off-putting. I'll be honest. You know what I mean? Like, if it's the first thing I read, I'm like, well, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then what? I'm supposed to do what? Like, not, you know.
Yeah. Well, what happens now is it becomes, instead of a one-step process of immediately thinking about what the person said as far as the you know, post positions, lane, whatever, like that it now becomes a two-part process, because now you're already wanting to defend and why is that person being like that? Where if you just go right to the concept at hand, and you know, like I said, it's easy to criticize, it's easy to complain, but a lot of times if you throw an idea in there with the complaint, it goes a long way too. That's just from,
and even in the moments when I'm defensive, I do eventually come around and see the light as far as what's right. So even so it's not, sometimes I need to take a moment, and then I actually will rethink things, and then 15 minutes later I may have a different viewpoint on it, because you know, I've kind of removed, you know, feelings and pride from the equation.
Right.
and can see it a little bit clearer. So, I'm only human, but
and for those that don't know, this is your livelihood. Like a lot of sites is somebody's investment, and they don't, as long as it's making them money. But this is like, I'm not saying it's your whole livelihood, but I mean, this is your passion, and it's what you're doing.
Yeah, it's my passion. It's a big part. It's a big part of what I do, every day, because I want to. It's not because I have to. And this is what I want to do, and I want to make this even greater. And and we need everybody, to do it. So I try to keep. That's why I always say it. I'm mindful of how it impacts everybody and the game.
Yep.
I see. Gary had a question there. Said,
"Good job, fellas. I gotta run. I'll catch you later."
All right, man.
Yep.
Later,
Okay,
Dan.
Thank you. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay. Why have some? Oh, here. Let's put this up. Why have some of the sprint lead ups already finished, and some have 3 or 4 races left? Some of the BCs, you mean, or
I guess so. Yeah, it seems to me it's just the way some of it was scheduled.
So, in other words, I guess the question is twofold: is it that the lead ups in some races have more than others, or is it that they were spaced out more than others, or combination of both?
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility.
You'd have to look at it, I guess.
Yeah, you have to look at each one and say, which ones are done. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't, like you can go through each one. Most of the ones that I see still have races left, so I guess you'd have to look at.
I think he's referring to the sprint, so we have to go. But I think we'd have to. I don't know if that's a thing can answer like on the spot. I think we'd have to dig in the data a little bit, unless you have.
I know you may be picking like 1 or 2, but for the most part, I still see all of them still have races left. So I mean, the turf sprint I think is the one that's done.
Okay.
But I mean, they've had a ton of races. I mean, it's not like.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking maybe 30, 40 races that it's had.
I don't have it up, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay. So
there's no particular reason. I can say it's an oversight, but I don't even believe it's an oversight. I just think that that's the way the schedule played out, and I don't think anybody was sitting there saying, "Well, we need one more race in April," when it's probably already had way more races than any other series.
I was just being inquisitive. If there was something like, is that?
No, I get it. I get it.
You need a schedule for like next season. Like, okay, make sure that one stops earlier.
I wasn't even aware of it, frankly, until Gary mentioned it. But
okay,
all right. Mean, ideally, would I like to have a couple more running? Yeah, but I don't know if adding a couple more right now will, upsets the balance. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
All right, so it's all you now. What do you want to discuss that I forgot to bring up?
I'm actually not going to discuss a lot more. It's just that I'm probably going to do another video after this, maybe not today. But again, just to recap some of the things on the site for some of the newer members, because, so there's still people that don't like yesterday when people didn't even know that you could actually look up a profile and check out all the races someone's had. So I think there's little stuff like that as reminders. I might do a once over on the site as far as, hey, how do you get into the tipping contest? How do you check some of the new stuff that we did? How do you, I might just kind of just mess around with the site as a video, and people can check it out. As far as like new season stuff, just a reminder that yearlings come out on April 1st. Obviously we have the new stuff, the time trials, etc. You have for April, there's a lot of big stuff going on. You have the virtual derby, the Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont. You obviously have the Oaks. So these are all big race events.
Mm-hmm.
Fun days. We're going to try to have we have the BC Championship days, which is there's 2 days. And I believe we're going to try to have an undercard for both of those days, which we hope to load in the next few days. So there'll be some nice racing besides the BC. So it kind of in lieu of the consolation, but instead of running for consos and one race as a conso and running for bonus credits, I think we're going to do an undercard where there's stakes races, but they may not be, certain grade or whatever, and you're running for real game credits. So that you can look forward to that. Obviously, we have the World Stakes Day, which is the last day of the season. We have 2 auctions coming up here, in April, which is big. And the most important thing for new members, if you're not aware, is that we run the Eliminator tournament the first week of the new season. These are huge tournaments, and hundreds of horses will compete at 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and 4-year-old. And you don't want to miss it. They're really, really fun events. And you can end up with 2-3 hours straight of nothing but eliminator racing. They go on all night long. They're fun tournaments. They kind of last the entire month.
Yep.
Good purses towards the end of it. So, just some good stuff to look forward to.
So for those that don't know, the eliminator tournament to me is like a state or sectional track meet where you have heats, top 4 advance, and then you get to the final. And that's the way the eliminator works. 8 horses in a race, top 4 go to the next level. Sometimes it's an odd off, and there's 7. So it's like a tournament, an ongoing tournament. You have to finish top 4 to advance to the next level. And when you get to the finals, 10 horses or something? So the semifinals, the top 5 come in, and the purses are huge because every lead up race, a bit of the purses move to the final. And I can't remember if you throw money in at the end or not, but
we throw added money in. So it's build a pot basically.
Freaking race, and you don't have to win all the way through. The winner, a lot of times, the winner of the eliminator either didn't win on the way or won 1 or 2, so it's wide open for that finals. You look at it that horse is going to win it, and then the horse gets like 6th. So
it's pretty cool. So you got horses that have finished 4th in every single heat. They did just enough to advance, but in the finals they're running for whatever the purse is, 1,000. I don't even know. I forget. But the point is that the whole idea of the eliminator is to survive and advance. That's it.
Yep.
And it's fun racing. So,
and let's clarify, both 2- and 3-year-old eliminators are for horses that have never run a race.
Yes, no runs. They need to be unraced horses for the 2-year-old tournament and for the 3-year-old tournament.
For the 4-year-old tournament, they are limited to horses that have won one race or less, or
one race,
and they don't even
one win
requirement, right?
What?
Maiden could get into that. A horse. So these 3, if I'm just bridging for the future, I breed a horse on, let's say, April 30th, and May 1st, I enter it in the 4-year-old eliminator. He's never run a race, but he can still get in the 4-year-old eliminator.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the 4-year-old eliminator
is you can't have won more than 1 race.
Right. So what we do with the 4-year-olds, we set up 2 different races initially for the eliminator. One is for straight maidens.
Oh, okay.
And then one race is non-winners of 2, and that's pretty much how it's controlled in the opening round. And then after the opening round, then they all run together. So you can enter either race that you want, but two are usually set up for it. So there's a lot happening with that. There's obviously there's programming stuff that's going to place. I know somebody had mentioned earlier, like what programming wise do you think is going to be done by the end of the season? Well, I'm hoping a tweak on the Unity is going to be done. I'm hoping that the PHP project will be done. I want the gold bonus thing, the rest of the benefits for gold to be done. But I'm not going to put any pressure on myself, guys, for the gold membership. Let's be fair here. The bottom line is, for that $9 you spend on the gold, you get way, way, way more back as it is with just the sire bonus and the state bred bonus racing alone. So I will not feel any pressure on the membership bonuses. I put them in place for you as members, but they already pay out very well for just what it has now. They will get done, but I'm not making any promises on a date. I just know that they eventually will get done, and they're well worth the money. I mean, it's the bonuses way outweigh the expense of $9.
Yep.
To answer, I know that question came up earlier. The jockeys things I would like to see done. Listen, I have a much bigger project I'd like to put in place for the BC Championships as a basically a completely housed tournament. Framed out and everything that's all automated, and I hope to get to that point. Yep. But I don't know if that's a season.
Okay.
And then, so listen, last thing is this, real quick, for me anyway. that there are going to be some changes on the site as far as the bonuses and stuff go. For a lot of the time that I've been here, we have been very aggressive with bonuses for new members, very flexible as far as the bonuses we offer for deposit bonuses and free horses and whatever. And I'd never mind doing it, okay? But I can tell you that recently some of this has come back to bite me in the ass, okay? The bottom line is, we had these bonuses in place where if you deposited $200, we matched it with $200, and we never ever minded doing it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it's now happened quite a few times in a row where people think they're outsmarting me. They think, oh, well, this is a silly thing. They deposited to $200, they get the deposit match for $200, so now they have $400, and then they withdraw the $400. Okay, you're not getting $400. Okay,
yeah,
so I think that it's kind of silly for people to try to do that. You're not outsmarting me. You're not going to get $400 back on this kind of thing. You have to raise. You have to spend a certain amount of money in the game to get that. So because of that, that manually one that we do, the one that's posted on the site and on that one page where it says we do, all that's being removed. The 10K, the 10K for running a claiming horse that's manually done, that's being removed. Any of the manual bonuses are being removed. I will not fight this fight. I try to do good things for everybody, but there's always a few people that end up, wrecking it for everybody else, unfortunately. Yep. So from a certain point forward, in this month, the deposit match will still be available, but it'll be available through the actual package deals that are done automatically. Okay.
Yep.
So when you sign up as a new member, you'll get your free horses, you'll get your initial free credits, your free bonus credits, and that's it. If you want additional bonuses, you can buy your bonuses through the package deal that's automated. I will no longer be getting involved with one-on-one manual bonuses based off of deposits and such like that and things like that. I just don't need to be involved in it anymore.
Okay.
So I hate to say it like that, but it's just, it's time.
Are the bonus gold, silver, bronze changing for April 1st, or are they?
Yeah, we will have.
I don't know what they are now. I think there's a bunch of sales ring.
No, there's still strong packages for sales ring that people should take advantage of. They were refreshed, so all of the package deals are available for repurchase again. We will put new packages in place for April that will be more geared towards homebreds and more towards breeding vouchers.
Oh, okay.
And things like that. So we know that in the first month of the season or the first 2 months, there's a lot of focus on homebred gear packages towards that.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much. 2 hours, went through a ton of topics, answered all the questions, and was very informative. And you say you're going to do another one on your own, or?
Well, I'm not going to do a live. I'm not doing a live one. I'm probably going to do a video and I'll post it on YouTube and such. And it's just for newer people to get a quick, jog around. So just something for me to do, and I'll as far as me to post and get involved. I haven't done one in a while, and I will. And Lee, always appreciate your time you put on here, and the other guys that jump in. Which you guys, the help from the community has been fantastic, and it really goes a long way. The guys in the chat answering questions. Thank you for asking the questions. It makes these more interactive and more fun, and hopefully we covered all these things. So again, I thank everybody. I thank everybody that's on Discord. If you're not on Discord, please join. They have a ton of fun on there. Good information. It's a good crowd. And the link is in the header under social. Go to link, new member or existing member, whatever. Choose one you want. And that's pretty much all I got. And
okay, last thing.
Yep.
Foggy is always looking for online poker players. So anybody that hasn't heard that before, let us know. Foggy likes to set up some online poker games. And then a handful of us play various online games, golf. Right now we're on Sons of the Forest, Rust. So if you're interested in playing with now Bob's a maniac at golf, so you don't want to play him at golf, but the rest of us on most games, we're just average. But anybody want to join in, let us know. Or if you got something that you play that's great, let us know too. So a little bit off topic there, but
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, a lot of our community is involved in gaming and stuff, and I know a few guys actually, another group of guys that play stuff, whatever. So yeah, it just makes it all more fun.
Why does he say I'm sick asking me to stop rocking? Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought I changed
Yeah.
my background. So okay. Well, thanks again, Bob, and we'll look forward to your video. And I am considering resurrecting the Black Ace podcast.
Friday fun.
Not sure on the format or the if it'll be every Friday like before.
Just don't live stream. Just don't live stream Del Mar races.
Yeah,
That'll be
no
good.
live stream Del Mar racing. Lesson learned.
Right. I don't need any more threatening emails.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.
Send us some comments if you listen to this later and have some questions. Thanks. Bye.
Take care.